What's up guys, YST here and welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And today I'm pretty excited to announce that we can now solo floor 100 of the hard Doom Tower against the SCARAB King with CONELLIA. Now this is the 4th Doom Tower boss that I've tuned to solo with the same champion. And it's pretty remarkable if you think about it. Like, who would have known that we'd be able to take this champion this far? Now, towards the end of the video, I'll be discussing all of the stat requirements that you need for floor 100. And of course, I'll discuss what you may need for the normal Doom Tower and the lower stages. So I guess we should just kick things off with the boss guide on the right hand side and how this is pretty much working. So if you're aware, if you're not under a shield buff, this champion is going to hit you twice. And you may be thinking, how the heck are you surviving this? Because 9 times out of 10, when you bring in other champions, they're gonna die. But of course, we've got this unique kit that CONELLIA does bring to the table. So, attacks all enemies has a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack and a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Then also can place an extra hit on targets without shields, i.e. our CONELLIA, and can also place a provoke. Now, how this is working is resistance and sustainability. You don't need accuracy, you don't need crit rate, you don't need crit damage. You just need to focus on those 2 things. So pretty much how this is working is the A1 ability dealing War Master damage coinciding with the toxic set, which is really important here because we're not dealing enemy max HP. And then also places a sleep on herself, and if she's woken up, heals the turn meter up to full and also heals this champion completely. And that's pretty much how this is working. So let's head back into the boss. So the reason here for having a HP aura is basically survivability. Now I've managed to get the speeds that I need with CONELLIA without the speed aura, but of course if you can get the stats without it, you could pretty much lower her speeds and put the speed aura instead. So just factor that into the speeds if you're trying to replicate this. You want to bring in 2 nuking champions because this wave on floor 100 is like 2 or 3 Duchess, and it's pretty hard to get through without 2 viable nukers. Potentially you could bring in a 3rd one if you're still struggling, but just make sure that at least 2 of your champions are dying to make use of the Spirit Haste Mastery, which I discussed towards the end of the video. So let's get into the run. So as I was saying earlier, you pretty much want 2 of your champions to die here, and Verse of the Grim with that HP aura is amazing. Now you can bring in a Jarek, exact same aura as him, or any other HP in all battles aura are going to be really amazing here because this SCARAB King can hit pretty hard on your champion, especially when they're hitting twice. So let's just get through to the boss and kind of get these Duchess out of the way. Alright, we're just going to kill off this big gun, A1 abilities, and boom. Now, once you come up against the boss, you can pretty much click auto and it's going to work completely fine. Your other 2 champions are going to die and everything's going to fall into sync. Now, there's always going to be that 3% chance, like you see there, of a decreased speed, a provoke, or a decreased attack placing. Now, it will put you out of sync for maybe 1 turn, but after that, it's going to fall straight back into sync, like you see now. The sleep's going to go up, and this cycle is going to always continue. You can see here, very similar to a Urost, it's kind of like a budget version with the toxic set to deal poison damage and completely wipe this dude out. Now, there is around a 3 to 5% chance that this can fail, and that's going to be down to getting provoked 2 to 3 times in a row, which I've only seen once in around 5 to 7 runs that I've done. The time to complete this is pretty long, I'd say somewhere between 20 minutes or so. But of course, if you're doing the lower stages, the HP of SCARAB is a lot less, probably looking at about 10 to 15 minutes full auto. But it's a very simple strategy if you're struggling with this, definitely one kind of way to deal with this. And I believe that this is the first kind of solo strategy that's not relying on enemy max HP or the max HP hits to take down that purple health bar. This is pretty much a gear set that you can farm from the dragon, deal poison damage similar to a Urost, and it's going to work out completely fine. So let's just try and get through to a bit where the provokes happen so I can showcase what happens if that happens. Alright, so a provoke just went up right there. And all that's going to happen is you're going to have 1 turn where it can get a bit shady, right? but the second that provoke falls off, it's going to be completely fine. Now, the stats that I put her in allows you to sit through 3 no turns and still survive, which I think is pretty important if you get provoked once or twice. The worst blend you can get is decrease speed and provoke at the same time, but in these stats, once again, as long as you can survive 3 to 4 cycles, you're going to be able to survive through this. So yeah, pretty amazing composition. I'm really proud of this. And of course, many people are going to say, where is Bommel 90? These things do take a lot of times, especially when you're trying to be original with these kind of ideas, right? I'm just trying to do the best for my community and try to help people out where I can. So let's just skim through the rest of this run here. It is around 20 minutes, so don't want to bore you. 50%, no problems whatsoever. Dealing that poison damage, and about 11 minutes including the waves, we've got through here. Go for a bit more. Same kind of deal. Only a quarter health bar left. The strategy is working completely fine. Okay, so this final hit should do it, and that is the poison damage. So, literally, look at that. 15 million heal on CONELLIA, 1.4 million damage, and 6.5k defense. The turn count is excessive. It did take 27 minutes, but just bear in mind, this is floor 100, and I've seen Verge's strategies taking similar times to this. So, in comparison, especially that we're not dealing that max HP, pretty cool composition in my opinion. So let's go into the stats of facts of this champion. Let's go. Alright then, so in terms of the stats that I used on my CONELLIA to solo this stage on floor 100 is a toxic set. Now, the way to resist those debuffs and stuff is resistance, right? Pretty self-explanatory. So we've kind of just gone for like speed and stuff. Speed and crit rate, doesn't really matter. Trying to get resistance and substats where we can. HP percent on the gauntlets. Just an off-piece set with the chest plate. Couldn't make it work with like a speed set, unfortunately. And resistance on the chest plate with some speed. Speed on the boots. Potentially, if you can, get the speeds with like defense percent or HP percent. And then you can put the aura to kind of make up the bonus speed. I just couldn't make it work with the gear that I have on my account because I don't tend to save a lot of toxic set, if I'm honest. Then we've got resistance on the banner, defense on the amulet, and HP on the ring. Trying to just survive as much as possible. Now for floor 100, you're looking at as close to 60 to 65,000 HP as you can, which is why I had Versolf the Grim in that aura lead position. Many champions have HP auras in this game, even a KO has it, so just factor that in depending on which stage that you're hitting. We've got around a 2.8k defense. I recommend as close to 3,000 as possible for floor 100, and kind of drop it down by 500 for each lower difficulty. Now the speed that we need today is 250, but as I said before, you could drop the speed down if you put HP percent or defense percent boots, right? Because the speed on the SCARAB King is 225, and we need to factor in making sure we take a turn every single time. And if you see it in the run, there's like a turn meter fill after he wakes you up, which is where you need to be around 20 to 25 speed faster than the actual boss with all of these things considered. Now, crit rate and crit damage, just whatever you can get, and resistance at 400 plus. Now, if you put a resist banner and a resist chest plate, this is really kind of attainable with a few substats and glyphs, but I think it does work just over 350. I don't make the requirements, this is just what the SCARAB King needs, right? So I'm just here to showcase how to make it possible. Now, obviously, check out hellhades.com or Ayumi Love to check the stats for normal, and kind of factor in the same kind of theory into those stages. You don't need accuracy, because the toxic set does not need accuracy whatsoever. Now, we've spoken about the skills earlier on in the video, and the masteries. You want to go to offensive down to War Master, and the support tree heading down to the Spirit Haste mastery to try and get that bonus speed with 2 of your allies dying on the waves. So yeah, that is going to be all for the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I tried to make CONELLIA stand out as much as possible, and we've managed to do 4 of the Doom Tower bosses, which I think is absolutely amazing. Of course, I'm still going to be trying at floor 90 Bommel. There's one little key thing that's causing me a bit of an issue, but please be patient. I'll get it out as soon as possible, if it is possible. But I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.